Hello, and welcome to How to Cultivate a Wealthy Coach Mindset. So, today is really about going from scarcity, like an energy of scarcity or survival, to this energy of prosperity. And I'm super excited about this topic. I love talking about money mindset. It's a really important one that more and more people are talking about, but a lot of people still sort of ignore or disregard on their path to really growing a prosperous coaching business. And it's so important because everyone's looking for the strategies that are going to get them there. But the truth is, the strategy is only one piece. And the mindset is a very important piece as well. The mindset, and I'm calling it mindset, but it's really energy. So, welcome to those of you tuning in live. Can you say hello in the chat? Let me know that you can see and hear me, just so I know that we're all set here. I like to make these really interactive. So, if you've ever been on one of these with me before, you'll know that I want to get your questions. I want to get you engaging in the chat so I can actually really coach and support you. So, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. So, I want to tell a little bit of my story as you guys are jumping in on the chat and just talk about that, really, and I shared this in my invitation. I used to live in a mindset of scarcity and survival. And this really started back, it probably started earlier than this, but it started, I know, when I was in college. I was like broke college student. I had gotten a lot of student aid and everything to be able to go to this very fancy college that I went to. And I remember I wasn't even going to be able to go back my sophomore year because the tuition kept going up. And so I went through this whole process to even be able to get more aid. And so there was this energy in me, and there were a lot of students going to my school who had just like, trust funds or lots of money. And it was, a time of being really strapped in that sense financially. And when I graduated, I had $60,000 in student loans. Hi, Jasmine. Thanks for saying hello. I'm guessing you guys can see and hear me. So when I graduated, I had $60,000 in student loans. I, had about $1,000 a month that I was going to be paying, which was a lot on top of thinking like, how am I just going to support myself, right? And so I ended up deciding I did a job for about 6 months and was like, this is not what I want to do. And I worked my butt off and I got my first business going 6 months out of college. And that was my online marketing business. So within 18 months, I was making six figures in that online marketing business. I hustled, I went for it, I worked long hours. And the interesting thing, though, was that it didn't matter that I started making great money. My mindset was still stuck in being broke. In my mind, it could go away at any moment. It didn't feel secure, especially because it was like I didn't have a steady paycheck, right? I was in my own business. It was like one bad month and what's going to happen. So I'm curious if you can relate to that. Those of you tuning in, hi, Dustin, nice to see you. Can you relate to that feeling that no matter how much money you make, you feel like some scarcity, right? You're like, you don't really feel like you have that abundance, that overflow feeling, right? If so, just say I relate in the chat. So in my mind, it could go away at any moment. And these money fears were honestly the number one thing that kept me from following my dreams of becoming a coach. So I was in a different industry. I knew deep down I wanted to coach, and I was scared to make the shift into coaching. I thought, what if I can't make enough money as a coach? I've worked so hard to build this fairly stable marketing business. Why would I throw all that away and start over? And what if I fail and go broke? So you may be having some of these thoughts if you're here thinking about starting a coaching business or in the process of starting a coaching business. If so, again, just type I relate in the chat. I'm curious, where you're at with all of this right now. So it didn't help that I tried and failed to start a coaching business in 2017 and literally did go broke. So I had to return to my marketing business, tail between my legs, and I was terrified to start again, to try again. But fast forward to today, and I've shared this, on a lot of these lives, we are doing about 500,000 in revenue a year and growing fast. That was last year. But more importantly, my mindset has shifted huge, right? Around money. I've had a drastic shift in my mindset around money, not just because I'm making more money, but actually as a precursor to making more money. I had to do the mindset work, and I continue to do the mindset work. It doesn't end, right? So Now I have more trust in myself than ever before and in life. I trust that money will come. I trust that I'm capable of creating financial flow, and I trust there's always more available. But I hear from so many people, including our clients, that they have fears and stress around money. And so I'm really excited to host this live for you today to dive deep into this and talk about how can you start to make that shift in your mindset. So I'd love for you to go ahead and make a note. And ideally, if you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, put it in the chat and tell me where you are right now in terms of your money mindset. So red would be I'm usually in fear or stress around money. I'm usually, you know, like my relationship to money is feeling stressed. It's feeling like there's never enough. I'm always focused on the money that's going out and worrying about that there's not going to be enough coming in. That would be a red. Okay. A yellow would be, I often feel pretty good about money. I feel like I'm in alignment with receiving money, but I still go back and forth a lot. Some days I feel really great, other days I'm really stressed. Like you're sort of in this in between where you're like, I feel like I'm in an okay place with money and just like my mindset around money. Sometimes I feel grateful for it and really good, and then other times I'm just like not. That would be a yellow. And then a green would be I'm in incredible flow with money. I trust that there's always more available. I know money is on its way to me, and my results and my bank account reflect that, or they're starting to reflect that. So go ahead and type in the chat or write down on your notes. Ideally, type in the chat even if you're watching the replay. Are you a red, a yellow, or a green right now? There's no judgment. You just want to see where are you starting out with your money mindset, red, yellow, or green? And today we're going to focus on the money mindset piece, like I said. But the truth is, the mindset, or what I'm calling mindset, which is really energy and alignment, is only one part. If you only shift your mindset, you may have kind of, the law of attraction and these sorts of things. While powerful, they get a lot of flack because people think, oh, well, you're just going to sit around your house all day and say, oh, I'm aligned to money, and it's supposed to show up, right? And the truth is, that's unlikely to happen for most people. It's not impossible. Sometimes people really do the inner work and miracles happen. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying for most people, it's unlikely. And so there is this other side of action, or what I call inspired action. And we're going to talk about that today. One of my mentors, or one of the people I really follow in this space. There's many, but her name is Melanie Ann Layer, and she talks about having one foot in gratitude and one foot in desire. Whenever you're going for what you want next, you have one, like you're walking, like one foot's in gratitude, one foot's in desire. One foot's in gratitude, one foot's in desire. And we're going to talk about gratitude today. I love that just sort of way of describing. And so, in regards to today's topic, I want to share, I would say that it's one foot in alignment and one foot in inspired action. One foot in alignment and one foot in inspired action, or you could just say in action. So, write that down if you're watching. One foot in alignment, one foot in action. And we're going to talk about what that means. And I want to see some red, yellow, greens. Where are you right now in terms of your money mindset? Red is stressed about money most of the time, feeling, like there's never enough, really focused on the bills and the money that's going out, worrying there's not enough coming in. Yellow is, doing okay. Some days you're feeling really grateful and good about money. Other days you're really in that stress pattern. And green, woo, Alyssa, love it. So green is I am in an abundance mindset. I am open to receiving. Like the mentality piece is there, man. And maybe then you're here more to learn about the action side. Okay, great. We've got a green and we've got a yellow. Awesome. So I want to touch on alignment and I want to touch on action today. And first, we're going to talk about alignment. Alignment is about aligning your energy to money. And this is, I was going to share today how to cultivate a positive money mindset, even if you're broke or stressed about finances. So your energy is the most important thing. I'm going to share this on a more like sort of woo side and a less woo side, because the truth is neither is right or wrong. Some people relate or resonate more with one or the other. So if you love the world of like energy and alignment and the law of attraction, then you'll relate on that level. And if you're more practical nuts and bolts, you may or may not believe in that stuff, then we'll talk about it from a more practical standpoint as well. So being an energetic match for money is on the woo side, so to speak. It is about actually aligning your energetic vibration to what it is you desire to call in, right? So if everything in the universe we know is vibration, that's science, that's not woo. Everything is made up of vibration. This has been proven and shown again and again, and things are vibrating at different frequencies. And so the idea here is that as you vibrate at the frequency, like attracts like, right? As you vibrate at the frequency of something you desire, it's attracted. You are in alignment. If you're not at that level or at that frequency, then it's not going to be attracted. So money in and of itself is a neutral force, but it does have a certain energy, a certain vibration when we create it in our space. And so again, on the more woo or the energetic side, we're talking about aligning your energy to money, okay? And on the more practical side, I was going to share this a little further down, but I'm actually going to go into it now. Let me give you an example. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. So, in a practical sense, let's just talk about this. If you feel stressed about money, so some of you said you're yellows, right? If you have that, a lot of that kind of those days where you're feeling stressed about money, you feel like there might not be enough, then you are going to have certain kinds of thoughts and you are going to feel certain kinds of feelings. Everyone follow me so far? So think about it. You're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have enough to pay my bills. Like, this is stressful. And then what kinds of feelings do you start to feel in your body? Fear, stress, like what other emotions? Can you guys name some emotions when you're in that stress around money? Like, what emotions do you feel in your body? I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Think about that. So you're feeling these feelings, let's just call it fear and stress, okay? And then how does that translate into the way you act in your life? What kinds of choices do you make? How is your perspective? Are you looking out and seeing opportunities in your life? Are you creative? Are you thinking of like exciting, inspiring ideas? Or is your mindset kind of stuck in this rut, in this pattern where it's almost like you have the blinders on, right? All you can see is like not enough money when you're in those moments. So, in that, what kinds of actions do you take? First of all, how is your energy? Because even if you're not talking about energy in terms of like vibration, just think about we can feel people's energy. If someone's having a really bad day and they walk into the room, you can feel it, right? So if you are in that like lack mentality, there's never enough, and you're outreaching and you're doing marketing and you're on sales calls, how do you think that's going to translate? Even if you try to like hype yourself out of it, how do you think that's going to translate into your results? This is where we're getting more practical rather than the more woo, right? More spiritual. So think about it that way. You're in scarcity, you're in fear, the actions you're taking, how you're showing up, your energy, how that translates to someone else. Do you come across as like, oh yeah, I'm in the energy of this person. I want to work with them. I feel that, right? Or is the person on the other side of that post or of the sales call going to feel something that doesn't quite line up? Okay. On the other hand, if you really are in this abundance and this prosperity place, you're aligned to the flow of money, regardless of what's going on in your bank account, you are in that energy, you are in that magnetism. How is that going to translate to the thoughts you're thinking and the way you're feeling? What kinds of feelings do you feel when you feel really abundant? Like I feel, let me just feel into it for a moment. When I feel really abundant, I feel limitless. I feel expansion. I feel like more room to breathe. I feel more peaceful. I feel more happy and alive. Okay? So those are some of the feelings I feel. You can tune in for yourself. When I feel those feelings, what kinds, like, how is my clarity different? Am I thinking of new ideas? Am I connecting with people in different ways? How does my energy show up in a room when I walk into the room, right? It's very different. than when you're in that fear and lack and scarcity. And so just to notice this, and I just wanted to give these two examples because it shows you on both a more, I'm just going to keep calling it woo. I don't mean woo in like a bad way. I'm woo. So I'm all on board for that. I just need a word, an easy word to like describe the more energetic people who align with that, and then the more practical. So we've got the woo and we've got the practical. Okay, we're going to celebrate both, whichever one is true for you. So you get now that on both a woo level and a practical level, that our energy and how we are aligned in our energy, aligned to either scarcity or prosperity, creates our results, right? So that is what we're talking about here. Okay, so I wasn't planning on going into that just yet, but I think it really fit and works there. How are you guys doing so far? Are you still with me? If so, type with me in the chat. I'd love to get interaction here because I thrive on that and really making sure that this is powerful and valuable for you all. So going back to how do you align to money? How do you align your energy to prosperity? First of all, you can take this step by step. You don't need to go out and like from the beginning be like, I'm aligning to $1 million months, right? Or $1 million year, because that might feel so out there for you that there's a huge part of you that's like, that's not possible for me. And remember, the match is so important. The energetic match is everything. And so if there's a huge part of you going like, that's not possible, then first of all, we got to get in and work around that part of yourself. But the other thing is, that's going to be, so there's the law of attraction and then there's the law of repulsion. The law of attraction and the law of repulsion. Hi, Cece, nice to see you. The law of attraction is that we attract what we are an energetic match for. The law of repulsion is that we actually repulse like the thoughts and the feelings and the parts of ourselves that think we don't get to have something, actually push that thing away. And so we have these two forces working at the same time. And I'm going to tell the more woo side because we've already covered the practical side. Okay. So we have these two forces working in us at the same time. There's parts of us that want to believe or that do believe that we get to have it. And then there's parts of us that are like, I don't think we get to have that, or it's going to be hard work, or whatever those thoughts or feelings are. And so we're working with these two forces at the same time. So when you're going to align to money, what you want to do is start by aligning to numbers that feel more believable to you. They might stretch you, they should stretch you, but they need to also feel like, ooh, like a big part of you thinks I could do that. And we'll talk about how to work around the disbelief in a moment. But if a big part of you thinks like, oh, I bet I could do that, that's where you want to begin. Because then we have less of that law of repulsion, that pushing away happening, and more of that law of attraction, more of that alignment, more of those positive thoughts and feelings that are going to have you taking the actions, right? It's like on a practical level, if you go, I'm going to make $25,000 a month, that's my goal. And right now you're making $3,000 a month. There's a big part of you, most likely, unless you're just like really rocking it on the money mindset, there's a big part of you that's probably going like, ooh, how's that gonna happen? Like, I'd love to believe that's true, but I don't really know. Like, can we really do that? Like, other people are doing it, they say they're doing it, I don't really know, right? There's a big part of you that's gonna be like not in alignment with that. And so that's what we're talking about here. If you're at $3,000 a month and you want to go for consistent $5,000 months, ooh, okay, especially if you've hit 5,000 before, right? Or you've gotten close, or maybe you've gone above that, but you really want to get to that consistency there. First of all, what are your numbers? I would love to know from you guys. No judgment. If you're open to sharing them in the chat, just so I can kind of see, because you're all at different levels, what kinds of numbers are you going for right now? Like, what would be that number you'd love to align to in your business? Maybe it's just your first $1,000 consistent $1,000 months, right? Or maybe it's $20,000, whatever that is for you. Type that in the chat. What would you love to be creating right now? So if your energy is always stressed around money, you will create more stress around money. And so you can, and then if you are in that prosperity feeling, right? That feeling, regardless of the number in your bank account, you will attract more of that. So you can take this step by step. You can align to $3,000 months or $1,000 months and create that. And then you have more belief, right? And then you can align to $5,000 months. And then you have more belief that you can actually make it happen because you've made it happen. Do you see? So it can grow step by step. It can also grow very quickly. It doesn't need to be like, oh, it takes you forever to grow, but we want to take it step by step. We want to find those numbers that really fit for you. So I want to talk about the 3 practical ways to shift into more alignment with prosperity and feel more prosperous today. Again, regardless of the number that's in your bank account right now. Are you guys ready? I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee here. Mm-mm-mm. I'm a really slow coffee drinker, so it takes me like all morning to drink my coffee. All right, so the first one is gratitude. We touched on this a little bit earlier. When you're in an energy of gratitude, you're being a match for more of that in your life. When you're in an energy of gratitude, you are being an energetic match to create more of that in your life. Think about that. If like attracts like, and we attract what we think and feel, then if we're in fear and scarcity all the time, we're creating that. Now, I'm not saying you need to always be in gratitude or you should never feel fear and scarcity. If you're struggling around money, you may feel that sometimes, and that's okay. You actually want to go in and have a space to let that out, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So don't worry that like you need to always be on around this, that you need to always be in a good state around money. That's not true. We just want to start to shift the balance more in the direction of gratitude, more in the direction of feeling abundant and prosperous. Do you understand? So if right now you're feeling gratitude and abundance and prosperity 5% of the time, what would happen if we increase that to 25% of the time or 55% of the time? Imagine we start to tip the scales in the direction of gratitude and prosperity. What would happen? Right? That's what we're talking about here. So it's not that you have to be on or perfect around this all the time, but we want to start to train your brain to go the other direction. So gratitude. And I'm not just talking about writing a gratitude list. I'm talking about feeling gratitude. Your thoughts are important. Your feelings are even more important. So if you're going to write down things you're grateful for, I want you to stop, put your hand on your heart, and feel the gratitude for all of it. Maybe even do it right now while you're watching. Put your hand on your heart. Put your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath and just go. What are some things you're grateful for right now? Your home, your family, the money you do have in your bank account, the food in your fridge, the clothes you're wearing, that trip you got to take recently, the love you have in your relationship. Like, how much gratitude can you feel in this moment? Just like turn it up 5%. Say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. Even though I've been stressed, even though this, or that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really feel it. So I want you to start practicing this. If it calls to you, right? You can take or leave anything I say today, but I will tell you that the more you feel gratitude, the more you will attract. The more you will attract what you desire because you're in an energy of attracting that which you desire, not repulsing, right? Not repulsing it because you don't believe. So even when you're paying your bills, so create your own practice around gratitude. If it's writing gratitude in the morning, if it's putting your hand on your heart for 10 minutes or 5 minutes and setting a timer and just feeling as much gratitude as you possibly can. If it's dancing around your house or your apartment, it doesn't matter. Feel it, right? And even while you're paying your bills, this is a fun one. I got this is from Ken Honda, Happy Money. I'm really bad about finishing books, nonfiction books anyway, so I didn't even finish the book, but it's a great book. And he talks about having an energy of, I'm paraphrasing, but when you pay your bills, saying thank you. Instead of being like, oh, I don't want to do this, like, there's never enough, it's just so stressful, right? When my husband and I sit down to pay bills now, we go, wow, thank you. We're so grateful. We're so grateful to have the money to pay these bills or whatever bills you can pay, you can say that about, right? We're so grateful that the money we are paying is going to support these other people, to support our team, to support, these small businesses that we're supporting or these big businesses we're supporting. Like it's going out there in the world. It's doing good in ways we can't even imagine. And wow, what a privilege. See how that's different than maybe how you're approaching your bills right now? I'm curious, do you approach your bills right now with like stress and struggle, or do you approach them with that spirit of gratitude? Just say stress or say gratitude in the chat. What is it for you right now? Doesn't matter which one's true for you right now, but I'm curious. Cece said, I was always scared about saying how much we want to make, going from 1K a month to 4K, and then from that to 10K and go, go, go. Awesome. So is your goal right now then, Cece, to go to 4K? Is that the goal? Okay, so we talked about gratitude. That's the number one practical way. Number two is to write out all your fears and doubts. So when fears and doubts come up around money, here's what most people do. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to put that out of my mind, right? Don't look. If I don't look, it's not real. Who can relate to that? That you're like, oh yeah, I'm more comfortable just focusing on what I want. I don't really want to think about what I don't want. I don't really want to focus over there, right? Some people bypass. Some people are so in the like wanting to attract that they actually won't look at the fears and doubts. Maybe you relate more to that because some of you shared that you you are in gratitude a lot. But have you given yourself permission to actually look at the fears and doubts? Because at almost every level, or I would say at every level, there are fears and doubts that show up. It does not matter. You can, like the mentors I follow in this space, right, who are making millions and millions and millions, they still talk about having fears and doubts come up. They still are doing this work on a daily basis. And so you got to be honest with yourself. Otherwise, your subconscious mind or the in the back of your head is like, yeah, but what if this happens? Or what if this happens? Or, but the number in your bank account says otherwise, right? So there's this other voice in there, and it's gonna hold you if you don't go in and really look at it. It's like right now it probably has you instead of you having it. And so what you want to do is don't go in and try to ignore or deny those feelings. They're still there anyway. Don't just butterflies and rainbows and sunshine on top of them. Oh, I'm going to make millions of dollars. Oh, I'm going to have $10,000 months. No, we've got to deal with the part of you that doesn't believe it and let it have a voice to speak. That doesn't mean you're going to not attract it. In fact, it's going to help you attract it because instead of it pulling on the background and actually repulsing what it is you want, we're going to give it a voice to speak and be heard so it can let go. You get that? So I want you to write out whatever your goal is, whatever your dream is, write out the fears and doubts that you have about it. Write them all out. What are you afraid of? What could happen? What's the worst that could happen? And then you have two options. You're either going to just tear them up, like tear that piece of paper up, throw it in the trash, and choose a different reality, like say, thank you, part of me that wants to keep me safe. Thank you for, being on my side, for trying to protect me, but it's okay. I've got this. Even if all that happened, I would be okay. We would be okay. So you can either just like come to peace, thank that part of yourself, and like choose to let it go and move on now that you've fully gone in and given it a space to express. Or if that doesn't feel like enough for you, another really powerful practice that I highly recommend is going in and actually disproving those thoughts. So writing why they're not true, right? Like why they're not true or why you would be okay even if that happened, right? If you do believe there are possibilities, then write out why would you be okay anyway? If you couldn't pay your bills, would you be okay? And write about that. And if you wouldn't, then maybe it's not the right goal for you, right? We want to make sure that you're in alignment, that all the parts of you are in alignment. And that means you've got to be willing to deal with the worst case scenario if it happened. If you don't feel ready for that, you might not be ready to jump to that next goal, and that's okay. But you can get in there and you can write all the reasons, again, that it's either not true, like, okay, people will judge me. Maybe that's your fear. If I make this money, people will judge me. So then write out what's actually true there. Well, some people may judge me. I feel like my Aunt Sally, she's already pretty judgmental, so she'll judge me. But, other people are going to really admire me and really want to like learn from me. And right, so you can write about whatever's true for you here. Or, let's say your fear is I'm going to go broke and not be able to pay my bills. Okay, well, is that actually true? Well, I have some savings, so I've got a couple months of runway here. If I really go all in, you know, I might go broke, but I feel like, I could always go back to this job. So the truth is I would be okay. I would be okay because I do have this other opportunity, or I've always figured it out before, or right? So whatever is true for you, you want to get in though, and you want to address the fears and doubts. Don't just push them away. Everyone with me so far? So we've talked about gratitude. We've talked about feeling the feeling of gratitude even when you're paying your bills, especially when you're paying your bills, aligning to the energy of what you want to attract. And then secondly, we've talked about addressing the fears and doubts. So we're not, the law of repulsion and our subconscious mind is not working against us. So that we're actually going in and giving that part of us a space to talk and working ourselves through it, either by disproving those thoughts or by going in and saying, what's actually true? What else is true? Would I be okay even if that happened? So what's your biggest aha so far? We've got more to go, but I just want to make sure you guys are still with me. Dustin said, love that about the bills, going to try that. Who else? What are you going to apply that you've learned so far? Because I want you to be really actively learning here, taking notes, asking questions in the chat to really make sure you go out and you take something and apply it. It's not enough to just sit here and listen. You want to really get into action, right? So let's just see if anybody's shared here yet. I'll take a sip of water and give you guys a chance. Then we're going to go into the third way to, really start to shift into an energy of prosperity right away, right? Even if your bank account doesn't reflect that yet. Cece said, change the fears and doubts into positive statements. Yes, and you need to believe those positive statements. This is not just like an affirmation, like, oh, I'm $1 million woman. If you don't believe that you're $1 million woman, that's not the right affirmation or the right statement for you. It needs to be something you believe so that the part of your brain that's working against you can start to work with you, you see? And so we have a whole process we work around this in our certification program, and we had one of our students go through this, I remember, and she had this huge shift in aha. It doesn't have to be around money. You can change your thoughts around anything, but you have to have a true thought that replaces it. Otherwise, a part of you doesn't believe, right? So she had this huge shift around money where she came to this thought that for her felt very true, that she was meant to have a lot of money. And when she and she had all these fears and judgments and things about money before, and when she came to this thought, for her, it really landed and felt true. It was like, oh my gosh, everything changed, right? She, I think, tripled her income in a matter of months and had just consistent 8 to 10K months coming in after that, out of this one shift in a thought. So it can be really powerful. It's called our Choosing Your Thoughts process. So we go through this in our programs, but even right now, just to share that whatever thoughts you choose and change, you need to believe them. You need to believe them. Otherwise, part of you is working against you. Okay, number 3, create a money celebration ritual. What do I mean by this? I want you to start not only feeling gratitude when you pay your bills, but celebrating the money that comes in, every dollar that comes in. Like looking at your bank accounts instead of looking at how little you have, going like, oh, there's that deposit. Ooh, my paycheck came in today. Ooh, that one client paid me, right? Woo! What is your celebration gonna be? So I have been in programs. I actually have a bell right here. I don't use it too often because I have my own little ritual, but I was in a program at one point. They sent me this bell. Every time money came in, every time a client came in, you're meant to ring the bell, right? For me, what I really enjoy is my money dance. Some of you may have heard me talk about this before, but maybe you haven't. I do a money dance, and whenever a client signs up for a program, I go find my husband if he's home. If I don't, if he's not, I just do it for myself. And I say, "Woo, money!" Right? And I do the money dance. So I'm going to show you the money dance if I can here. It's hilarious. You could do your own version, right? But for me, the money dance is like, and I get really low and I do this little shake, and the more money, the lower I go. So he's like, oh, that was a good one, right? That was a big one. So it's silly, right? But it's important because what am I doing? I'm anchoring in the feeling of abundance. I created this fun and this kind of goofy ritual around money coming in. So I'm saying to the universe, like, more please. Yes. I'm so excited. And not only am I celebrating the money, by the way, we're talking a lot about money today, but all of you are in purpose-driven businesses. You're all making the world a better place through the work that you do. I'm going to talk about that shortly, which is your why. Your why, right? So everything I do is backed by my why. And my why is there's many different ways I could word it, but it's to help people self-actualize and self-express, to become the version of themselves they were born to be, the version they know deep down they were meant to be. That inner whisper that tells them you're meant for something more is to help them actualize that. And for many people, that involves going out and building a business. It involves, for many, it's a coaching business, but I work with other kinds of clients as well. It's actualizing in the world what they feel they were meant to do, making the impact they feel they were born to make. That is my why. It's what I was put on planet Earth to do. And I love it. And in the process, having like such a lit up, amazing, rich life. It's not just about the money. It's not even just about the impact. It's about the life you get to lead and who you become in the process. And so that is my guiding light. That is my why. And because I'm connected to that why, when I'm dancing, I'm celebrating not only the money, I'm celebrating the impact, right? What that's going to create, the life that is going to be changed because they said yes to working with us, and the ripple effect of that. So I'm celebrating all of it. So again, it's not just about the money. The money is great, but here's what we're really talking about. So create your money celebration ritual. What are you going to do every time money comes in to celebrate? Okay? Make it fun, make it silly. Okay, so next I want to talk about action, inspired action, because we talked a lot about mindset, we've talked a lot about energy and alignment, but it's really important to get into action as well. And so this is like the other side of the coin. And the key word here is inspired action. This doesn't mean that everything you do is going to inspire you. So this is often a misconception. When people first start out in business, they say, well, yeah, but I don't really feel inspired to do that. And that's great, but there are going to be things that you do in building a business that may not inspire you and light you up, right? Especially in the earlier days when you're building and you may not be able to hire support yet, or outsource things, or have a system in place to really do that. So what I mean by inspired action is not that you're going to be inspired all the time. What I mean is you don't want to have pressure on yourself, like that kind of pressure that doesn't feel good, where you're like, oh, got to do this thing and got to do that thing, and that so-and-so said I should do this thing, and so, right? And you're taking all this action, but you're under pressure and it feels stressful. That's not inspired action, okay? Being hard on yourself will shut down your energy. And so instead, inspired action is about being clear on what you want, first of all, being clear on your desire. Like, what do you desire for yourself and for the world? Yourself, your loved ones, and the world. And then what is that why, right? That's tied into that. The why for what you do for yourself, your loved ones, and the world. What is that why? And then it's about being 100% committed to that. Being willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen, to actualize your desires and your why, to make them your reality, to bring them into the world. When you are 100% committed, you will get there. You will get there. And knowing that it can be fun and it can be easeful, not easy necessarily, because there's going to be challenges no matter what you do, especially if you're stretching and growing yourself, but easeful. You can have an energy of ease with it. Okay, so getting clear on what you want, your desire and your why, being super committed, 110% committed, you'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. Not in the sense of pressuring yourself and being hard on yourself and like, oh, grinding, but in the sense of doing what it takes, stretching yourself, being willing to be uncomfortable in service to your mission, in service to your desire in the world. I say that to myself all the time. I'm willing to get uncomfortable in service to my mission. And so many people are talking about strategies and actions, right? And then other people are focused all on mindset. The truth is, you need both, but you really need to, in terms of inspired action, it's about getting clear on what you want, being committed, going for it. And then honestly, the biggest amplifier for inspired action is getting yourself in the energy of other people who are doing it. The energy of other people who are creating or have created what you desire, or something that is along the lines of what you desire. This is why you are probably listening to this right now. This is why people listen to audios and trainings, right? Free trainings, if that's all you can afford right now. Or go through programs and invest in yourself and invest in a program to support you, or hire a coach or a mentor to work with you privately. Each of those is like a higher degree of getting into that energy of something, right? There's a certain energy that you can get into in free trainings, and that's enough to get you started if that's all you can do right now. It's enough to get you from 0 to 1, right? And really help you like start to learn and start to apply, as long as you go out and you take action. Then from there, maybe you're in a place to invest in trainings, or maybe you already are, right? Or invest in a mentor. At each stage, you're getting closer and closer to the energy of that person. Does that make sense? Because you usually get more access and you get more support and more training the closer to them you get, or the higher the investment, or whatever that might be. But what we're really doing here is actually getting you into the energy and the frequency and the strategies of that person that you desire to align with something that they have. Something that this is like when we're looking for a mentor, it's not really a logical process always. You're going to feel something when you're talking to someone, or like curious about working with someone. You're going to feel something that's like, oh, this, that, whatever they're doing, I want that. I need that. Or whatever they've created, I want to know how. Like, I want their support to do that, right? This is how you should be going out. This is inspired action versus like from your head, where you go, oh, I need a mentor who's going to teach me this, this, and this, and this. Okay, you can be practical, you can check the boxes, but so much of it is energetic too. So much of it is really aligning to that right person. So this is the fastest way to 10x your growth, is getting into the energy of people or a person who really have created what you desire, who you really have the intuitive sense, like they're the person to help me get there. And so we've talked about inspired action being about being clear on your vision and your why. And we've talked about commitment. That's the third piece. And then fourth is putting yourself in the energy of people who have done it, who can support you in getting there. Now, it will take all of that for you to create what you want. And it can be fun and it can be easeful. So there's these two sides of the mindset and the energy and the alignment and the clarity and the why and the action and the being in the right environments to learn the strategies and take those actions. So these are the pieces to really help you step into the wealth that you desire, to step into the results that you desire as a coach. Now, or whatever it is you're doing, by the way, because sometimes we have non-coaches here as well, and the principles still apply. I want to talk about one other thing, which is what could stop you. We talked about the law of repulsion today. We talked about the part of you that's pushing against. A couple of other things. Lack of a clear vision and why. If you're not crystal clear on your vision and why, if you heard me talk today and you're like, wow, I thought I was clear, but the truth is I'm not that clear about why I'm doing what I'm doing, about why I'm coaching, about what my vision and mission is. If that's not clear to you and you don't have that like laser, yes, I'm so excited. I am willing to step out of myself, to stretch beyond my comfort zone to make this happen, then that is something that will stop you. It is something that will hold you back. On the other hand, if you're crystal clear on that, but you still have fears or doubts or patterns showing up, right? Like not like confusion or overwhelm, or you're going for it. What is that thing that when you're going for it shows up to stop you, right? Do you have certain thoughts that you're thinking, or certain areas of discomfort or not knowing, right? What are your fears or doubts or patterns? What is showing up for you? Is it just a lack of support? Sometimes that's the case for people too. They do it well, but they need support to do it. I'm one of those people. I always have coaches, because left to my own devices, I would do well, but it would be much slower. I just need to be in the space of people like we talked about who are doing it, and so I can align to that energy and learn the strategies. So very important. The desire and the vision and the why needs to be crystal clear. And then we need to address the fears, the doubts, or the patterns, the roadblocks that might be getting in your way. This is why we created our Clarity Call experience. This is a 30-minute free coaching session, no strings attached. We're not going to sell anything on that call. It's basically a let's get to know one another. Let us help you get clear on your goals or your vision. If you're not clear on that yet, what could hold you back, right? Getting clear on these two things allows you to then make the plan to break through to that next level. And that's what we help you do in this call. It's 30 to 45-minute call. It's called a clarity call. You apply for it if it's something you're interested in. Type clarity below in the chat. My team will reach out to you. And in that call, if we feel like, wow, this is someone that we could really like, we can really support you to get where you want to go. Or if you're like, I really want to know more, this is great, I want to know more about how I can work with you, then we'll talk about what it would look like to apply for one of our programs. That's a separate conversation. But first, you really get this experience of working with us. So this is really for new people only. If you're already a client, then you've already probably had this experience with us. So this is for new people only. But if you are new to our work, I want you to type clarity in the chat below if you're curious about doing one of those calls. Again, there's nothing for sale on that first call. We're really just going to connect, get you value, get you clear. And then from there, if you're curious, we'll take you to another conversation, to an application process. So I talked about a lot of things today. I'd love to hear again, what was your biggest takeaway? What are you going to go out and apply before we wrap up here? And I'm going to share a couple of last stories. So I talked about one of the clients who went through, in this case, our coaching certification. We have, by the way, business coaching programs, our coaching certification, and then our high-level mastermind is really about going for a bigger dream or a moonshot, usually in business, but it could also be an impact without sacrificing in the other parts of your life. So it's really for women who are going for a big game, but they're tired of sort of sacrificing their health or their relationships, or feeling like they might have to sacrifice in those areas to get what they want. So it's really about having it all and doing your business in a very feminine way. So we have, again, business coaching for people just starting out or who are more established. We have the certification, which is really about coaching mastery, business mastery, and your own personal transformation. And then we have the mastermind. And so if you're curious about any of that, again, that would be at the end of the call. We would say, here's what we think, how we think we could support you. Let's set up a separate call and have you apply. So in that, I talked about our client who went through the certification. She also did business coaching with us, and she had that huge shift in mindset around, I'm meant to have a lot of money. And when that clicked in for her and she believed it, everything changed, right? Another client I remember just recently was going through one of our programs, and she really didn't identify, I'm curious if this is true for some of you, she really didn't identify with desiring a lot of money. She was like, no, but she did our quiz, by the way, our not Wealthy World Changers, that's our mastermind. She did our World Changer quiz, which if you haven't done it is super fun. It's worldchangerquiz.com. Here, I'll type it in the chat. And she found out that wealth was a motivator for her. She was like, I don't really relate to that. I don't really, know if that's true. But when we dug in and we got her really clear on her why, as I've been talking about today, this light bulb went off for her. And she was like, oh my gosh, of course I want money, because I can do so much more with money to move this forward, to make this impact that I desire to make. And I remember she was crying, I think, on the call, because it was just this huge shift, this huge aha for her. So many of us make money wrong, right? And we go, oh, well, it's not about the money, or I don't really want, it's really just about the impact for me, or it's really just about whatever. And that's great if that's your driving force. but you need the money too, right? Especially if you're in business for yourself. You've got to earn, you've got to take care of yourself, you've got to have the ability to pay your team and grow your business. And that's going to help you amplify your results in the world. And so, really connecting to that why made the shift for her. Or another client of ours that I wanted to talk about is, currently in the process of really growing her coaching business, leaving her job. And she would find that she always put this pressure around money for her, right? I talked earlier about we want to have inspired action, not like pressure around money. And anytime she did that, it was like, boop, the flow of money would stop. The flow of clients would stop. She would like contract. And this is where energy and alignment is so important. When we started to work with her and help her see how to shift that, every time she shifts it, then the money starts flowing again. Then the clients start coming in. Then there's this easefulness. And that's what we're talking about, the easefulness and the feeling of prosperity. And she's open to that and she's magnetic. And then the clients show up. And she's taking the inspired actions. So just giving you different lenses here, different ways of looking at what we talked about and how that actually shows up in reality. This is such an important conversation. I want you to commit to taking one thing you learned today. In fact, type it in the chat if you haven't already. Dustin, I know you're going to apply gratitude around your bills. Cece, you said you're going to change your fears and doubts into positive statements. Anything else? Like, is that your number one takeaway? What are you going to apply today? Type it in the chat for accountability. We want to hear from you guys. Come back, share in the Facebook group how it's going. Let us know. And if you feel like you're not 100% clear on your vision, on your why, on your fears and doubts and patterns, like why isn't it working? Why aren't you there yet? What's showing up to stop you? Then type clarity in the chat below. We will reach out to you and we will get you set up with one of those clarity calls. All right. Thank you all so much. Any questions, any last anything before we jump off? Thank you for engaging in the chat. I love it. When you guys do that, it makes such a difference for me. It makes it so much fun. So really appreciate you all and look forward to hearing how you upgrade your prosperity and your wealth through your mindset, your energy, your alignment, and the inspired action that we talked about today. Okay, I'm McKenna Sage signing off. I will be back. Let me just double check that. I will be back next week. Let's look at the topic. We'll announce it here in the group. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on your emails and your invites here. We always put the invitations up in the group here. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.